Welcome, and thank you for volunteering with Junior Achievement Finance Park. We're excited to have you join us for this impactful hands-on simulation. This short training will prepare you for your volunteer day by walking you through the student experience, what you can expect throughout the simulation, and how you can best support your students. You do not need to be a financial expert to be a great Finance Park volunteer. Before we walk through your role as a volunteer, we want to take a moment to talk about why this experience matters. JA Finance Park is about more than teaching students how to build a budget. It helps students develop confidence, financial capability, and a clearer picture of their future. The impact extends beyond financial skills. 95% of students report seeing more clearly how education connects to their future. 95% say they are more motivated to pursue their goals, and 94% believe they can succeed in the workplace. As a volunteer, you're an important part of creating that experience. The conversations you have with students, the questions you ask, and the encouragement you provide can help turn the concepts they've learned into something meaningful and relevant to their own lives. As we go through this training, keep that bigger purpose in mind. You're not expected to have all the answers. You're here to help students think, make decisions, build confidence, and begin imagining what their own future could look like. Before we walk through the simulation, here are 5 things to remember about being a successful Finance Park volunteer. First, engage. Ask questions and involve your students in the conversation. Finance Park is designed to be interactive, so encourage students to participate rather than simply move through the screens. Second, encourage. Students will make decisions, change their minds, and sometimes make mistakes. That's part of the learning experience. Celebrate their effort and help build their confidence. Third, guide. One of the most important things to remember is that you are there to help students make decisions, not make decisions for them. If a student asks, "What should I choose?" instead of giving them the answer, try asking, "What works best with your budget?" or "What are the advantages and disadvantages of each choice?" Fourth, share. When appropriate, connect what students are learning to your own real-life experiences. Those connections can make financial concepts much more meaningful. And finally, have fun. Your enthusiasm makes a difference. If you're engaged and excited about the experience, your students are much more likely to be engaged too. Now, let's look at the overall flow of Finance Park. Students will move through 12 steps during their experience. They'll begin with onboarding, receive their adult profile, calculate their net monthly income, and make their first savings decisions. Next, they'll explore different expense categories throughout Finance Park and begin building a budget based on their lifestyle choices. They'll then balance that budget, shop for their monthly needs and wants, review their shopping cart, and make their payments. Finally, students will receive a summary of their simulation, review their awards, complete evaluation questions, and wrap up the experience. The simulation and JA staff will help guide you and your students through the experience. This training is designed to give you enough familiarity that you'll understand what students are doing and how you can support them along the way. During the simulation, you'll have a volunteer guide you can refer to, and the JA staff will be there to support. The first step is onboarding. When you meet your students, take a moment to introduce yourself and get to know your group. Creating that connection early will make it easier to engage them throughout the rest of the day. Students will then begin setting up their simulation. They'll select the simulation for that day, choose their assigned business, and select an avatar. Students will also complete 6 attitude-based evaluation questions. During onboarding, your main responsibility is to start connecting with your group and get them started on their iPads. Next comes Welcome to Adulthood. This is where the simulation starts getting interesting. Each student receives a randomly generated adult profile. Their profile includes information such as their career, education, income, credit score, and family situation. Encourage students to spend a moment looking at their profile and understanding the life they've been given. You'll pause here for a group discussion. Step 3 is Net Monthly Income, or NMI. Students have already seen a salary in their adult profile. Now they'll discover how much of that income is actually available to spend. On the first page, students will see taxes deducted from their income. This is an opportunity for students to see that their gross income and their take-home income are not the same thing. On the next page, they'll see information similar to a pay stub, including their hourly wage and the number of hours they work each week. Before students start spending their money, they'll make decisions about savings. First, students decide how much of their net monthly income they want to save. Then, they'll divide those savings among areas such as retirement, emergencies, and other savings goals. There isn't one perfect choice. The goal is for students to think about why saving is important and how different savings goals serve different purposes. You can help by asking questions such as, why might someone need an emergency fund? Or why would it be helpful to begin saving for retirement early? Students will have an opportunity to modify their savings later, so encourage them to make the best decision they can with the information they currently have. Next, students move into one of the largest portions of the Finance Park experience: exploration stations. During the exploration station phase, students will explore different budget and expense categories throughout Finance Park. Your students will work together to solve scavenger hunt clues. Each clue will lead your group to a business within Finance Park. They'll participate in interactive activities and games that reinforce what they're learning and begin making lifestyle choices that will help create their initial budget. This portion of the day is designed to be active and collaborative. As the volunteer, help keep your group together, encourage everyone to participate, and use the activities as opportunities to talk about the financial decisions students are beginning to make. Let's take a closer look at your role during exploration stations, because this is one of the portions of the day where volunteers are especially important. You'll travel through Finance Park with your group. When students receive a scavenger hunt clue, encourage them to solve it together. Once your group arrives at the correct business, you'll find instructions on the back of the station sign. Follow those steps as you work through the station with your students. The instructions may include conversation prompts, mentor moments, icebreakers, partner information, or directions for the activity. Use these prompts to start conversations and help students think through their decisions. Remember, your role is to support their decision-making, not to tell them what choice to make. Once the group completes the station, students will continue to the next clue and travel together to their next location. After completing exploration stations, students will move into budget balancing. Now they get to see how the lifestyle choices they made affect their overall budget. Students will compare those choices against their current income. Some may discover they've allocated more money than they have available, others may have money left over. They can adjust budget items, change allocations, and even revisit their savings decisions. The goal is for every dollar to be allocated. This is a great opportunity to coach students through the decision-making process. Instead of telling a student which category to change, ask questions such as, where do you have some flexibility, or which expenses are most important to you? Budget balancing will take place during the lunch rotation, and JA staff will provide directions for how that rotation will work. Once their initial budget is balanced, it's time to shop. Students will put their budget to the test by making purchasing decisions within the different expense categories. Encourage students to think about needs before wants. They may want the most expensive option available, but their income and other responsibilities may require them to make a different choice. This is where your questions can make a big difference. You might ask, is this something you need or something you want? How much money will you have left after this purchase? Or is there another option that still meets your needs? The goal is for students to complete their shopping without exceeding their net monthly income. And remember, students can go back and adjust shopping categories they have already visited. Changing their mind isn't a failure. Learning to adjust when the numbers don't work is an important part of budgeting. During shopping, students will also experience the loan application process. When making housing and transportation decisions, students will apply for a mortgage and an auto loan. As they move through the process, they'll learn that loan approval depends on different financial factors. This is another opportunity to connect the simulation back to the adult profile students received at the beginning of the day. If a student is surprised by what happens during the loan process, use that moment to start a conversation. For example, you could ask, why do you think a lender would consider that information? Or how could financial decisions you make today affect your ability to borrow money later? Students don't need to become loan experts. The goal is simply to begin understanding that borrowing money comes with requirements and responsibilities. After shopping, students move to cart confirmation. This is their opportunity to review their shopping selections before finalizing their purchases. Encourage students to slow down and look at the full picture. They can review what they selected and make edits or adjustments if needed. You might ask, are you comfortable with all of your choices? Now that you can see everything together, is there anything you would change? This is their final opportunity to make adjustments before moving into payment. Step 9 is payment. Students will confirm their shopping selections and pay for their monthly expenses. They'll use tap-to-pay technology to complete their purchases. This helps reinforce the connection between the decisions they've made and the actual cost of those decisions. Once payment is complete, students receive their student summary. This gives them an overview of their Finance Park experience and an opportunity to reflect on the financial decisions they made. This is a valuable time for conversation. You might ask, what decision are you happiest with? What was harder than you expected? If you could start the simulation over, what would you do differently? Remember, students do not need to finish with a perfect financial outcome for Finance Park to be successful. Realizing that they overspent, underestimated an expense, or would make a different decision next time can be an important learning experience. Help them focus on what they learned from the choices they made. As students near the end of Finance Park, they'll review the awards and accomplishments they earned throughout the simulation. Take a moment to celebrate their success. Students will also complete their final attitudinal-based questions. Then, use the remaining time to debrief with your group. Ask what surprised them, what they learned, or what advice they would give someone completing Finance Park for the first time. This final conversation is an opportunity to help students recognize just how much they've learned during the experience. Throughout Finance Park, your group may occasionally finish a section before it's time for everyone to advance. When that happens, students can complete XP questions on their iPads. These are real-life questions that test students' knowledge, allow them to earn XP points, and create additional opportunities for conversation. This is a great way to keep your group engaged while waiting. When it's time to move to the next portion of the simulation, a countdown will appear on their screens. Until then, keep your students engaged with the XP questions and the conversations they create. And that's your overview of the JA Finance Park experience. When you arrive for your volunteer day, JA staff will provide you with a volunteer guide and get you set up for the day. Remember, you do not need to know every answer or memorize every step before you arrive. Focus on the 5 things we discussed at the beginning. Engage, encourage, guide, share, and have fun. Ask questions. Help students think through their options. Let them make their own decisions. And celebrate the learning that happens along the way. Most importantly, thank you. By volunteering your time, you're helping students practice financial decision-making in a safe environment before they have to make these choices in the real world. Our hope is that students see more clearly how education connects to their future, that students are more motivated to pursue their goals, and that students believe they can succeed in the workplace. We appreciate you choosing to volunteer with Junior Achievement Finance Park, and we look forward to seeing you soon.